Hello, Charlie TCG here, and welcome to Mastering Gholdengo, the ultimate guide to play what I think is one of the most fun decks to play right now in this format. Now, in today's video, I'm going to break down how and why to play Gholdengo. Why is it doing so well right now? And what brand new cards from Surgery Sparks has really propelled it to be at the top tables? Also break down my deck list. How exactly am I piloting Gholdengo right now? But also look at some other inclusions. What exactly didn't make the cut? But some good case in points to be added to Gholdengo in a later date. The ideal board setup, as well as also an in-depth matchup guide. How exactly you should be approaching and sequencing Gholdengo to play against your very best matchup to your absolute worst. By the end of this video, you'll understand Gholdengo to a greater level, and hopefully this can result in some good tournament results in the near future. So without further ado, let's break down Gholdengo EX. Now, on paper, Gholdengo looks like a very straightforward deck to play. You draw a ton of cards and deal a huge amount of damage with Make It Rain. But actually, if we analyse Gholdengo a lot greater, we can see there are a lot more better things going for this one. Number one, it's a stage 1 Pokemon which evolves from a single prize basic Pokemon, meaning you can have a single prize board state at the end of your first turn, making decks like Roman and Raging Bolt not skyrocket ahead by taking an easy 2-prize liability. Its HP 260 can be very difficult for certain archetypes to actually reach, which again really puts it into its favour. And has an amazing ability Coin Bonus, which reads once during your turn you may draw a card, and if it's in the active spot you get to draw an additional card. Drawing 2 cards from the active spot will straight right there. If you can switch around Gholdengo, you can sometimes even see 6 cards, or even just having 1 Coin Bonus from the active spot, 2 on the bench, that's 4 additional cards, is incredibly powerful. If we team up with a supporter like Cypherman's Code Breaking, which reads search your deck for 2 cards, shuffle your deck, and then put those 2 cards on top of your deck in any order, basically it can read search your deck for 2 cards and then put them into your hand with having Coin Bonus in the action spot, which makes Gholdengo have an amazing sequencing effect, makes it really good consistency, and also draw into many of the key pieces you might need to have, whether it be the new Ace spec, also any supporters for the next turn as well. And let's also look at the attack. For a Metal Energy, does 50 damage times the amount of energy you discard from your hand. Now we've seen this effect quite a lot. Obviously like some Raging Bolt right now. Chien-Pao, as we know, Chien-Pao is my favourite deck of all time, but Gholdengo 50 is definitely a little bit less than these other ones, but it can work really well with that brand new Ace spec Energy Search Pro, which reads when you search your deck for one of every single basic energy, reveal that and put it into your hand. Effectively, having any prize, it pretty much reads put 8 energies into your hand, put the attachment of turn, you'll then also have access to 350 damage, which is huge amount of damage output, which really propels Gholdengo to be one of the strongest decks right now. Can very easily streamline this one, whether you just keep its energies in, or potentially you can bring them back in future turns for access to Superior Energy Retrieval, Regular Energy Retrieval, and Night Stretcher. There's also a brand new card from Surgery Sparks Togekiss, which has really helped Gholdengo quite a lot. What it does, it gets to flip a coin when one of your opponent's active Pokemon is KO'd, and if you flip heads, you get to take an additional prize card. This can make it much stronger into single prize archetypes, or potentially can be very devastating against Charizard or Dragapult or Gardevoir players, when all of a sudden they promote a Charmander, not really thinking you can get an easy 2-prize KO, or all of a sudden this Togekiss can really allow that potentially, if you flip heads, really swing the prize rate back into your favour. Now also another good supporter what makes Gholdengo really work is Irida. Like I said before, this can really get all your key item cards, whether it be your searching effects, whether it be your energy requirements, or potentially even your really good support Pokemon. Iron Bundle for Gusting, Mana Feed for bench protection, and Greninja for draw, and of course we have Pokestop as well. It's a very fast, very aggressive deck, so having Pokestop, which obviously times very, very well aside from its code breaking by stacking 2 item cards, can really hopefully make sure you draw for your deck very, very quickly. So this is exactly sort of the rough sort of idea about how you could play Gholdengo. These are sort of the 7 key pieces about what makes Gholdengo decks really tick. But now I want to really analyse in depth these brand new cards from Surgery Sparks, which is exactly why they benefit Gholdengo so well. So if we actually look at this new Ace spec Energy Search Pro, we can see exactly pretty much gets all the energies you really need to attack, and pretty much is really good, especially turn 2. By having all of a sudden 8 energies out from your deck, this can really help thin deck. You can draw into better cards, potentially with your coin bonuses, draw into other Gholdengos, draw into some other key energy recovery pieces in the later turns, or potentially just generally just some better sort of supporters in the next sort of few turns, which I really, really like about this one. You can also keep energies in your hand for future sort of references. Obviously, you do have the other Ace specs available to this one, the Hyper Blow, which is guarantees you can get all your Gholdengos out, or potentially Prime Catch for guaranteed gusting effect. But I really like Energy Search Pro because it guarantees you can constantly streamline attacks, which I think is much better to get that turn 2 pressure on. Of course, we have a new Gimmickle as well. It has 70 HP, so obviously very, very strong. And also it's really good, especially if you have like that turn 1 attack you need to do. You get a search deck for 2 basic energy cards, reveal them and put it into your hand, shuffle your deck afterwards. Now, also, this is really good. It helps powers up your Make It Rain attack, which is really, really strong. But also, it helps thin the deck. It helps with your top decks. It helps you draw into more consistency cards, which you really need to have. Now, it's not as strong as the Call for Family Gimmickle, which obviously is much, much stronger. But that one has 50 HP. Can be very, very difficult, as we're going to potentially see, obviously, Charizard much more resurgent, which is the only really archetype which does play that Dusclops, which can be very scary. You already are playing like the 50 HP Togepi. You don't have even more liability to that with one. But honestly, I think this Gimmickle has really helped Gholdengo greatly. And of course, we have Togekiss. For those who don't know, and obviously you can check my banner, as I've mentioned a lot, Togekiss is my favourite Pokemon of all time. And as soon as I saw this, I went, I have to talk about this. I have to make this Gholdengo deck work. And honestly, it is so strong. What it makes it do is it gains this amazing prize advantage. By pretty much flip a coin, if you get to take an additional card. This makes it very, very strongly. And you don't really give any sort of advantage to your opponent like you do with Dusknoir. Obviously, Dusknoir, you obviously potentially will gain a prize card, but also give your opponent a prize. Sometimes, if they have to take a single prize KO, you're effectively nullifying that as well. You're removing a KO they might have to do, which is exactly why I really like Gholdengo effect. Sorry, Togekiss in Gholdengo. But again, it is only on a flip. That is the worst thing about Togekiss right now. But I think if it wasn't on a flip, this card would pretty much be in nearly every single deck. But honestly, this Togekiss is one of the best partners for Gholdengo right now. So for exactly how we should play Gholdengo, effectively, you should pretty much be winning on turn 4 if you really talk about it. Turn 1, you want to flood the board with your Gimmicles and Togepi's and Radiant Greninja. You want to have a single prize board state completely. You don't want to give any advantage to any of these very aggressive, very high profile decks like the likes of Roaring Moon and Raging Bull, which can easily get these big one-hit KOs. And turn 2, you kind of want to Energy Search Pro. You want to get all your energies. You want to evolve your Gholdengos for your draw to attack. You want to evolve your Togekiss. You want to potentially have at least 2 or 3 Gholdengos right now, whether it be one on the bench, one in the access, generally one in the access spot, potentially even just one on the bench as well. You want to have this really good stable board state where if you get Ionid, if you get sort of any hand disruption whatsoever, you can hopefully come back with some have really good inbuilt draw. So then by turn 3, constantly streamline the attackers. You're going to be using your superior edge retrieval, your night stretchers, your Pheasantippities for extra draw. You want to be constantly streamlining these attacks going on. And then hopefully by turn 4, you've streamlined the attacks completely and you can hopefully just win on the price rate by going 2-2-2. Now, obviously, your Togekiss can really help energy accelerate into that sort of prize rate. Potentially, you can take a single prizer can also become a 2-prizer, or even a 2-prizer can become a 3-prizer. So also, you're really giving that huge, great card advantage. Yes, it is obviously only a on a coin flip, but if it goes your favor, Gholdengo could be incredibly powerful. And if we just look at sort of the strengths about Gholdengo, it can have that single prize board state turn 1. I cannot emphasize about if we're going to a much faster sort of format, this is going to be a really good thing in the Surging Sparks format. Now, obviously, we know prismatic evolution, it might be a little bit slow for that likes of Budoom. But right now, we're not going to be thinking about, and that is January, February's problem. But what makes Gholdengo so good, it obviously has that amazing inbuilt draw engine, that coin bonus. So you're not really scared about Ionos or Oxans or Judge. You have already potentially can see additional 4 more cards out straight away, which is really strong. It has that unlimited damage output, which can be very, very quick, especially for the likes of the Energy Search Pro, which can really make streamlining that Make It Rain effect be much, much stronger. And of course, you have Togekiss to help manipulate the price trade. You can also make that single price of that 2-price of that what you exactly need to win the game, which obviously makes it so, so strong. But also, the weakness is it's very reliant on Energy Search Pro. If you make that kind of your main energy sort of searching requirement, you're not exactly going to be reliant on them. Earth and Vessel, because you might only play one of them. And if you prize your Energy Search Pro, well, it can definitely really fall apart quite quickly. It can lose very hard to any sort of ability lock and control by removing any of your item lock, or potentially even removing your abilities. It can be very difficult against the likes of Iron Thorns. Yes, obviously they have resistance to you, but also kind of like stopping your draw factor could be very, very difficult. It's also has a very straightforward win condition, which I know you might go, well, that's just how's that weaknesses, but everyone will know you just want to go 2-2-2 and it can be very easily. Think about like Raging Bolt. That's a deck which is doing incredibly well. It's always going to be about that 15-10% market regionals because it is straightforward. It is fast out of the gate and pretty much can nearly win straight away on turn 3 or 4, potentially whenever it started. But that could be a very worrying thing. The opponent could really exploit this one by promoting those single prizes and potentially not really getting that coin flow token because, again, it doesn't really go your favor. And obviously sequencing. Again, similar to likes of Shen Pao, there is a lot of sequencing of Gholdengo. You want to know exactly what cards to draw into it. So you have to understand exactly what sort of key pieces you should be playing to really get the most out of your coin bonus. Should be using your Earthen Vessel pre or post it as well to try and hopefully draw into some of the sort of key pieces you require to get streamlined your attacks. So again, that's something to really think about. Now again, you may look at this one, the weaknesses aren't really that glaring, but the strengths really do highlight exactly why Gholdengo is so strong. Now, let's actually break down my Gholdengo list here. This is exactly how I've been piloting Gholdengo for quite a few weeks now, and it is so fun. We can see here we're going full 4-4 on the Gholdengo. You don't want to prize any gimmicks, you don't want to prize any Gholdengo. Yes, I know you might only be attacking with 3 Gholdengos the whole time, but having an additional Gholdengo on the bench for a draw factor is really strong. Then we play a 202 line of Togekiss with 2 rare candies. Now, you might go, Charlie, why are you playing this 50 HP Togepi with 2 other 50 HP Togepis? Well, this is really good with its ability, which when you get to put on play, you get to heal 10 damage. Also, you get the healer damage from Gholdengo, makes it really strong. It potentially can move it out from either a Klawf attack or potentially any sort of scary poison damage as well. Get a heal at 10 damage. You potentially can remove it from getting from potentially a 2-hit KO on some opponent to actually make it a 3-hit KO. But I really like that additional healing factor as well. It can remove some of your gimmicks out from some scary Dragapult ranges, or potentially just is having a good sort of healing in the late game. Of course, every token as well to really help manipulate the prize trade. Then we play Greninja and Vespiquen for the draw factor, Manaphy with bench protection, and Iron Bundle. Iron Bundle is so strong against these big, scary 2-prize archetypes, which normally will play 1, maybe 2 single prize Pokemon, and then chuck in the active spot, really protecting you, forcing you, because you don't really play that much gusting effect outside of like boss and counter catcher. So Iron Bundle is really strong. It's really strong against the likes of Regidrago, which might promote a Klawf, and you go Iron Bundle, give me a 2-prize Dragapult, and all of a sudden that can really swing you in the price rate. Or potentially it's a Charizard, and they know they have like some really scary liabilities on the bench, and you can use Iron Bundle to go around potentially Radiant Charizard, or potentially just a general single prize attacking option. So there's so many great things about what Iron Bundle has to offer. For NG searching, we do have to play that NG Search Pro, but also one copy of Earth Investor as well, just to kind of like have that for the late sort of game, or especially in the early game as well, to get some NGs, or potentially even add some discard power to get them back with NG superior NG retrieval. Play one canceling clone. Of course, you want to go through likes of Mimikyus, or potentially even shut down these Iron Thorns. You want to actually have an answer to this one. That's why canceling clone is in this one, not for some scary Greninja plays. Counter catcher again for some little gusting effects, some recovery cards we play with NG retrieval, Night Stretcher, and obviously superior NG retrieval. And of course, then we have some really good search cards as well, with 3 Ultra Ball, 3 Nest Ball, and 4 copies of Buddy Poppin. I think this is very straightforward. There is very streamlined there. We don't really want to go too crazy on some tech cards as well. We want to kind of go straightforward, straight consistency, and hopefully streamline these attacks turn after turn after turn. Now, supported we play 1 Boss's Orders, 1 Iono, 3 Iridas, and 3 copies of Cypher Mania's Code Breaking. Boss's Orders, I really always love having a guaranteed gusting effect. I think that's exactly what Gholdengo really needs at time. You kind of like swapped out your Prime Catcher for NG Search Pro, so I think having Boss is really good. Iono, because I really like having hand disruption against your opponent. Potentially turn 2, turn 3, Iron them to 2 cards could be really devastating for your opponent. You already have a really good board state as well, having potentially a couple Gholdengos with Feather Tipping in the late game, so you're already going to have potentially seeing nearly 7 cards every turn. So you're not really scared about that completely. And of course, you play Irido as well, you play a ton of item cards, you want to guarantee you get them one, and all your support Pokemon are really strong on Water type, so again, this makes complete sense. And 3 copies of Cypher Mania's Code Breaking. So again, I talk about how strong this is with that coin bonus effect of Gholdengo. That's exactly why you play this. 2 Pokestop as a support as your stadium card. Most decks do play Pokestop anyway. Again, you play a ton of item cards, so it's very easy to get this one. And obviously with a lot of recovery, you don't really mind if your energies are in discard pile. And obviously you play 3 metal and then 1 of every other basic energy. So you play 8 different types of energies, which is again really fun. It's a good fun rainbow style deck. So the idea really of this deck is use your Energy Search Pro, get your energies out on your second turn of the game, and hopefully you'll just be streamlining attacks at turn after turn after turn. Now let's actually see some cards which didn't exactly make the cut, but I've definitely seen some great success with Gholdengo. And of course, the first one I've got to talk about is Origin Form Palkia V-Star. Now, this was obviously pretty much Gholdengo's main partner for, I would say, nearly the whole year it's been around. Obviously, it's great for a secondary attacking option, do 260 damage, and right now, with the likes of the Aerosol Undertech being in most of the decks right now, it's going to have even stronger numbers. And also, it's great because it makes sure you can actually get that turn 2 Greninja attack, which makes Gholdengo a very scary archetype. It kind of was a way to kind of like go around that single prize sort of deficit most sort of decks really have to offer. But it does only take a couple turns to set up. You always never go, if you're playing against Gholdengo, I don't even bench my Manaphy until I see a Palkia. Now, Fortune into play, that's not exactly the case right now, but honestly, I think right now with the space, Palkia isn't exactly in this one. Again, most people are still playing Palkia version of Gholdengo. It's still getting like top 4s, top 8s, so I 100% can see this kind of go back in right now. But I think on this build right now, I really like sort of Togekiss as a partner. So in a case like Dusknoir, we can argue potentially add a 101 line of Dusknoir in with having only 101 of Togekiss, because it's really good to get that additional price right. Having that amazing board state, it was really strong against a single price archetypes, but you do benefit your opponent as you may potentially offset the offsetting, if that makes sense. If they take a single prize KO and then you use Dusknoir, you go, right, now I just need to KO two Gholdengos and I win instead of going two Gholdengos and another Pokemon as well, which is the only limitation about Gholdengo of Dusknoir. It can only really work in your sort of favor if you have Dusknoir and Togekiss and you flip heads as well. So all of a sudden you get two additional prizes and then potentially another two prizes as well to really solidify you much stronger in the board state right now. So I think right now Dusknoir is in a little bit of a precarious spot for Gholdengo. And I think Togekiss has definitely got to be up there as a much stronger one as it doesn't really benefit your opponent. Another really good card we've seen quite a lot of play is Spiritomb. Really helps slow down the likes of Lumineon and Rotom. As we've seen Control be quite one of your scarier matchups, and Rotom kind of appearing in way more different archetypes. It's really good to slow them down, just slowing down any of these basically Pokemon. If we see like some Oranguru as well doing incredibly well against Klawf, it's obviously amazing to get this one, just slowing down them completely. But the worry thing about this one, it does take up some precious bench space. Sorry, if you've got to have at least three Gholdengos out and play, you want to have a Togekiss, a Pheasantipity, Greninja, that nearly takes up your entire bench already. So kind of like making space and like sacrifice, particularly a draw factor or really good beneficial Pokemon for Spiritomb can really be very hindering for you. Then if we look at the other sort of ace-specs, Hyper Aroma was pretty much on paper going to be the best ace-specs for this one. It gets all your Gholdengos, which is incredibly strong. This is an item card you can Irida, get Radiant Greninja and Hyper Aroma, and also you could potentially see, what's that, 6 cards over just 2 cards you set from deck. It's really good. It's great for thinning, it helps you with consistency. But unlike Energy Search Pro, it doesn't really help boost up your damage output. It helps you get your attackers going, but you still have to draw into your energies. You might all of a sudden, instead of like with Energy Search Pro, you just play one of its cards for all your Energy Search. You might have to find space and cuts to add more Earthen Vessels into the deck, which can be very, very particular and very difficult as well, which can really eat into your consistency. And you might potentially have to remove some of your recovery cards, or sometimes even scary enough, your search cards as well. And also going to go that can really struggle and go under pressure. Again, similar likes of Prime Catcher. Prime Catcher is still, I would say, probably the second best ace spec for Gholdengo right now. It's amazing because it has a good gusting effect and works well with the draw factor as well. So you can still play your Cypher Minutes code breaking as well as also gust and boss around your opponent, which is really good. It's a great switching now, so you can draw additional more cards with Gholdengo, which makes it really good. But again, like I mentioned before, unlike Energy Search Pro, it doesn't help your damage output. It really helps with your board state, which I think is again really, really powerful. But you still need to draw into his energies, and yes, you have additional 2 to cards you can see, but you have to really hone into the sequencing if you want to be playing into your Prime Catcher. Again, like I mentioned before, really focusing more on sort of the searching cards with Earthen Vessels as well. You really want to you might even want to play like some Lost Vacuum to go well with your Pokestop, to like get rid of that as well and potentially use double Pokestop, which potentially could be the play. Speaking of that, we have Switch as well. It really helps your 2 retreat Gholdengos. I'm really honestly, with not having a Switch here, it's purely about space. So it's not really any downside with playing Switch. Similar can be said for like the Heavy Ball as well. It gets any of the Pokemon higher from your prices, gets your Togepi's, gets your Gimmicks, gets your Pheasantipity or Greninja, get any of these really good key support things. But honestly, right now, it's purely about the space. And if you can find anyone, I 100% will try and add one of these 2 into this one. Let's remember Encouragement. It's a really good sort of energy sort of recovery cards. Searching card. It only really works well if one of your Pokemon is knocked out during your opponent's last turn. This obviously is very, very powerful if you're using a second turn, if you have a single prize board state, against Royal Moon, against like Raging Bolt, it works incredibly against this one, because it really helps if a single prize gets KO'd. But the opponent can play around this one. If we're seeing Poison Effect right now, they can use their Petra and Klawf, and all of a sudden, you've completely out of the game because you can't play your Lesser Encouragement as it was killed during in-between turns and not your opponent's last turn for poison. So again, something to really think about if this is going to be a really good sort of energy search card. I already mentioned a great way about why Lost Vacuum is really, really strong. It gets rid of Forest Seal Stone and Bravery Charm, which is really good. Potentially could take an additional prize card. If you think about the likes of Raging Bolt, you could do 250 damage for this one, it's got Bravery Charm as one, and all of a sudden you can, in between turn, use that Lost Vacuum, take additional prize card, and then flip a coin if it's an active spot, and then go again against another sort of bench Pokemon as well. Potentially you could take even your whole game right there and there, which is great. Again, it's all about finding space. We've seen that could also work really well by reutilizing like the Pokestop for draw factors. So that is some sort of good thing about it. But honestly, again, it's about finding the list for space. Right now, I'm going pure in with mainly consistency, not really going with many techs. So, but these really good sort of these good tech cards could really help your Gholdengo plays. Another one is, if you look at some supporters, is Thornton. It's basically your 5th Gimmiggle, your 3rd Togepi, your 2nd Pheasantipity, your 2nd Radiant Greninja. It's amazing for this really good late game comeback, but sometimes it can be a liability. You might want to like go, right, I'm going to Gholdengo, I need to have the Cypher Maniac to win the game. You join the Thornton and go, well, I have nothing in the discard pile or nothing of note in there, so this is really, really poor. So that's the only real downside about Thornton. Obviously, it's great for this recovery in the late sort of game, but sometimes it can be a liability in the early game. You want to be seeing your Iridids, you want to be seeing your your Cypher Maid's Codebreaker, you want to be seeing other sort of really good key cards like Iono, and this can be very, very difficult as well. Another one is this Morty's Conviction, which is quite fun. Pretty much it's really good, especially now if we're seeing like some areas your underdeck be played, which pretty much you can only play this one if you discard a card from your hand. And obviously it's an amazing draw. If you're against likes of these Klawf decks, these Terapagos, you can effectively draw 8 cards right now, which is amazing. It works so great. Thinning and sequencing in late game. Effectively you could draw your whole deck, but you could get so many of these superior end retrievals, nearly all your sort of your energy cards you might need to have, your Gholdengo. So again, I really love this for a really good late game draw factor, but also it doesn't guarantee you get to draw those cards. Now, if we go around like sort of sequencing, most Mortys can be incredibly powerful in sort of a late game. It's pretty much like, right, I just win the game against Klawf because I just draw through 8 sort of cards. I can get some gusting effect with Iron Bundle. I can get all them with superior energy retrieval, but you don't guarantee them like Iridate and Cypher Maid's Codebreaking, which again could be a little bit of a downside about this card. And if we look at Professor Churro's Scenario as well, as another sort of key card as well, this is really good because it helps pick up any of your damaged Gholdengos or liabilities. It can remove that Photosynthipity, which can be very easy targets for your opponent in the sort of late sort of game. It can help reduce any of your, constantly reuse your Gholdengos. So you could potentially pick up one, evolve it into one of your bench gimmicks, and not have a very damaged liability on the play, which I think is really good. Again, like most things are here, it's on about really finding the space for this Professor Churro Scenario into your list. And as you look at Silene, as we know as Chien-Pao heads, we obviously love flipping coins. You're already flipping coins anyway, but this was obviously being played quite well in Chien-Pao. You get flip 2 coins and you get a card from just pop onto the deck. It's still be really good to like reutilize your Gholdengos, reutilize any of your superior energy retrievals. It could be really good to get all the good resources, but it's the weakest version of Cypher Maid's Codebreaking. Yes, you do draw into them with your likes of Gholdengos, so that's one of the positive things. But unlike Cypher Maid's Codebreaking, you don't guarantee you get those 2 cards. This one is on a coin flip, and you can effectively play this card, flip 2 tails, and go, right, why on earth did I play this card? I just wasted my supporter for the turn. So generally, if you look at the ideal board setup right now, because here we have the Togepi and Gimmighoul, I think are great sort of in the active spot. I think these are really good, powerful ones. You want to have one of these you want to have the one you have the most of one, because you always want to have at least one Togepi and a couple Gimmighoul's on the bench as well. This I feel like makes sure you can have the most outs to getting your Gholdengos out turn 2, so it also guarantee you get Togekiss as well, which is really powerful. And of course, Radiant Greninfire draw factor. Another card to really think about right now is also looking at Budew as well. I know we get that in January sort of time, but it's still a good thing to really talk about as well. If we are seeing Budew have this great success after its opening weekend over in Japan by being nearly 50% of different decks, we need to consider about, should we be playing Gholdengo a bit differently, or can we actually play Budew in this one as well? Would it sacrifice the spot of the Gimmighoul on the bench, having a Budew as well, potentially in the active spot, slowing down the opponent and hopefully win sort of matches in that sort of way and win that consistency? There's something to really food for thought. I want to just throw in a little bit of talking about Budew a little bit, as we've seen how great it is, and I do think that success is going to continue in this new format. And then if we look at the ideal turn 2, I think this is pretty much the best sort of scenario right now. You have 3 Gholdengos out in play, you have, because one of your Pokemon got knocked out, you can chuck a Photosynthipity out, you have a Togekiss as well to get additional more prize cards, and obviously Radiant Greninfire just still for that draw factor. I just think if as long as you have this board say pretty much from turn 2 onwards, it's very difficult for you to lose, and you have an amazing draw factor. The only way I would say how you can really be losing is if you don't draw into the key cards you really need to have, or effectively your opponent can really skyrocket this one if you miss any of these KOs. Now, let's actually look at the favored matchups right now. And you can see here, Gholdengo is really good into a ton of different decks. If we see here, it's doing incredibly well into these big explosive decks like Raging Bolt Ogerpon, Miraidon, Terapagos, Roaring Moon, because they're all these 2-prize Pokemon, and they're always going to be attacking with 2 prizes. With decks like Lugia and Gardevoir, they can be a little bit tricky, but Togekiss can really swing that in your favor. So your even matchups like the Charizard and Regidrago, one of the most played decks right now in the format, and potentially arguably the BDIF with having these ones. But if we look at the favorite matchup, we can see it's pretty much all of Control, Lost Box, which is still around because of Pikachu, and that new Klawf Terapagos build. Oh boy, that is a really, really scary deck. So again, if we just see here now, we see it has a lot of favourable matchups, but it's unfavourable matchups, potentially with that Iron Thorns, Dragapult and Klawf Terapagos, one of the most hot ticket, very strong decks right now, could be very scary for Gholdengo. So now let's actually break down exactly how you should be playing, what is your sequencing into all of these different matchups. So if we look at Raging Bolt, the idea is you want to have that single prize board state turn 1. You don't want to really have any of your scary liabilities. If you start with Photosynthipity, well, I would just pretty much pick them and go game 2 if they get the KO, because it's very, very difficult for you to come back with this one. You always want to go 2-2-2. Togekiss can really help this one. You can Iron Bundle away the Sliverwing, or potentially just risk it with a coin flip and potentially try and get that two prize KO on that Sliverwing. The thing obviously to watch out for is obviously if they get the first KO. They potentially do have the Briar Plays option. I doubt they really could potentially see it with one, but again, that's something to be scary about as well, because obviously that Tilmas Dragapult can really come out there, be very, very scary in the late game. They only need 4 KOs to get the big one-hit KO. You need to have 6 energies to KO sometimes a Raging Bolt with a Bravery Charm on. They only need 4 energies to KO. So again, that's something a little bit to think about right now. You may notice that it could be quite straightforward in some of these matchups, but as long as you sequence correctly, if you know exactly when you should be using Spirit End Retrieval, you know they don't really have that much hand disruption anyway, so you're always going to be safe with having all these energies in your hand. You're in a really good commanding spot. Another one it could be similar to is Up of Lugia. Lugia always try and go for the 2-prizer. You could obviously make a Archeops into a 2-prizer on a coin flip. That could be very, very scary. Again, obviously the energies turn 2. You really need to have this one. They aren't going to be playing as many Ionos as they used to do. They're obviously going to be prioritizing their setup. They can be a little bit slower as well, but they can be really, really aggressive in the late game. Iron Hands early could be devastating for you. If all of a sudden they can get the turn 2, if you miss sort of KOs, if they go first and they get the Iron Hands out and they get the first KO with having a 2-prize one, that could be really, really scary for you to keep going. Because obviously they could just chuck a Legacy Energy on that Iron Hands, making out a single prize Pokemon. You can only really swing it back in your favor if, say, the likes of Togekiss gets a coin flip, which obviously is really strong. Legacy and Minccino, potentially one of the scariest threats right now, being KO for a single prize if you have a Togekiss flip, or just no prize whatsoever if you hit Tails, could be really, really scary for your gameplay. But again, we all know Lugia, it can be very inconsistent. It's not really getting the levels of success it had at the start, but again, that's still not writing off his radar. I think Gholdengo is still in a very, very commanding spot right now. They're very awkward HP, which can't really be one-hit KO, only by likes of Minccino and Weird in the late game. Another one is Miraidon, and I really like your match against Miraidon. Sometimes, yes, I know they can resist it as well with that metal, but you want to have that single prize board state turn 1. You want to give them any access to their scary Raikou or Iron Hands KO very quickly. Obviously, that can be very scary. They're always going to be using that Iron Hands out turn 1. But as long as you remove that Iron Hands very quickly, they can't really respond to your Gholdengo unless they have the likes of a very big bench of Raichu or potentially a Raikou as well. So again, those are things to really be scared about. You Iron Bundle around the single prize KOs. If they promote a Pokemon, go, aha, now you have to go around this one. You go, right, Iron Bundle, give me one of those multiple 2 prizes on the bench, and they go, GG's. So that could be very, very scary against your Miraidon players. As long as you have to watch out for Iron Hands turn 1, if you can hopefully limit that sort of play out, you could be in a really, really good sort of spot. So if they are scared about Iron Hands, definitely promote more of the gimmicks out there and try and have as many gimmicks on your bench, have 3 on the bench as well, so you can draw into it as well. You want to evolve out of them as quickly as possible. Similar like with your Togekiss, you want to give them any sort of more sort of ammunition with their Iron Hands in the sort of the mid sort of late game. Another one is Terapagos, and Terapagos is very much, I would say, a free matchup with the likes of a Dusknoir. They can't KO you, pretty much. I feel like the Terapagos Dusknoir build is definitely kind of going to fade away and replace it with the Klawf Terapagos build, but if you are going to be against the Dusknoir one, you're in a really good free matchup. They can only really do 230 damage max with a Rattata build, as well as also a double turbo. They have to use Dusknoir to KO it. So what that means is they give you additional price card. That can already swing you in much more greater favor. Go out as quick as possible. You don't want to give them any scary of these gimmicks on the bench, because that could be really, really scary for you, because they could take incredible, huge, explosive KOs. Togekiss with their Dusknoir makes your matchup incredibly great. So I really, really like this one. You have potentially with very great Dusknoir giving you that additional price advantage. You have Togekiss flip heads, you get additional price advantage. Just doing that, that's 2 free prizes you've just got from potentially 2 KOs, which again is really, really good. You always want to go for their support. You want to KO their Noctowls, you want to KO their Pidgeots, you want to KO their Dusknoirs. Yeah, Terapagos, yes, could be scary, but they're always going to be 2-shotting you. They're never going to be 1-shotting you. So again, that's something to consider and think about going forward. You don't really want to bench Fez too early, as they can use that as a KO. They can use that as a 2-prizer. You have multiple sort of Gholdengos out to really prioritize and focus on them as your draw factors in this one. Don't really play your Fez Antipodes. If I'm bundled to gust around it, to go for their support. So again, if you're playing as Terapagos, don't bench Fez, evolve into your Gholdengos as quickly as possible. Have Togekiss for that advantage. They're going to have advantage with Dusknoir, and just go for their support. Now one is Roy Moon, very similar in that case to that fact. to the likes of Raging Bolt. You want to have that single price board trade. You want to try and off price the price trade by forcing them to go single price KO, then Gholdengo. Well, you just go moon, which again is really good. You want to get the energies out turn 2 and keep the attacks rolling. Similar to the likes of Raging Bolt, they focus more on having just Sada as their main attacker. They aren't really going to have that disruptive capability. They can only really KO you with likes of Frenzy Gouging, and effectively that means you're only going to need to have like 1 or 2 energies to get these big one-hit KOs on Roaring Moon. They're not going to be using Calamity Storm. They can only do that against Fez Antipathy. So again, think about when should you be playing Fez Antipathy? Should you be playing it against the start of deck? It's going to be very aggressive as you don't need that many energy cards. The more you have in the hand, the better consistency cards you could draw. Starting with 2 price is definitely a very scary losing matchup. It's exactly the same like the Raging Bolt. But also hand disruption of Gholdengo in play can be very scary. They can get rid of a Gholdengo and have that hand disruption. And because effectively you're not going to be using that many energies, they're going to be chucked right into the deck, and that will now be into your consistency cards, drawing into potentially your search cards, ways to get your energies out as well. So again, that's something quite scary about Roaring Moon, but that's not really going to be seen as much as possible. Yes, I know they do play the baby Roaring Moon, which can be scary, but you have Togekiss, and hopefully you can flip heads and get that additional prize card. Now, Gardevoir as well is kind of rounding up sort of the more sort of great sort of matchups you have in this one. Togekiss is amazing for that additional prize factor. This is really powerful, especially if you KO the likes of these not like Rage Robots, these Screamtails, these likes of these Drifloons, potentially to gain an additional prize card that way is really strong. It puts you much more in a commanding spot. Potentially you're selling a single prize that comes in 1-hit KO. It becomes a 2 prizer. Obviously, Gardevoir needs 7 energies to get the big KO, which could be very scary, of course. Unfortunately, it's not Metal Weak anymore, which obviously would be amazing if it was, because that could really swing this matchup in a much greater sort of setup. But also, you want to try and get the first KO, but also you want to prioritize the setup. They aren't really going to be attacking you until turn 3, potentially even turn 2, sorry, if they have the aggressive Rare Candy. Now, if we look at the format right now in Japan with Budu, that's obviously a lot more scary of a matchup. They can item lock you, it could be very scary, and obviously they're going to be a much slower sort of game. So again, something to a little bit think about. If you think Gardevoir with Budu is going to be much scarier to play, really think about exactly how you should be sequencing the deck. You should be playing as many item cards in your first turn, have as many cards in your hand, but obviously you need to remember that there is a lot of hand disruption of Gardevoir. So if you have search your deck and get 8 energies in your hand, they'll always go to Iona you and put it at the bottom of the deck, and they'll suddenly go, right, I've now lost access to all these 8 energies, and then basically just got to pack it up because I can't win. Obviously, single prize attacker, the things to watch out for. They're going to constantly be streamlining. They don't have their Zacian Vs for quite a while now. They've been attacking with their Screamtails, their Fluttermanes, their Drifloons, and that's exactly how they go around this one. They're never really going to be attacking with Gardevoir because they don't want to give a liability. They, of course, can trap something in the active spot. Yes, I know most of you guys need a single energy to either attack or potentially even retreat, but they can easily still trap something like a Manaphy up there, forcing you to fire that energy to retreat this one, and you Screamtail to get these big 2-price KOs on the bench. Again, something to think about with Gardevoir. You still have a really good match with this one, as long as you really go to Gardevoir, really prioritize the setup, but also try and get the first KO and keep up that tempo, could be really devastating for them. If we look at likes of Charizard on paper is quite scary, but when you think about it, Togekiss can really offset Prior. Obviously, they're going to be having Dusknoir as well to gain a potential additional prize card there. But if you flip heads again on Togekiss, again, like I mentioned before, you get 2 free additional prize cards. You've also got to think about it in a way as well, that as much as you can offset Briar with that sort of plays, you can also enable Briar effectively. If you get Togekiss on a 2-prize or single prizer on your second turn, you get draw 2 prize cards. Your opponent uses a Dusknoir and stuff like that. You could effectively just try and off-prize trade them completely. And this is, again, something to really think about going forward. You want to aim for their Pidgeot in the early game, because Pidgeot, obviously, as you know, with Charizard, they pretty much go set up and then they go boss with Pidgeot, and that's pretty much how they win. If you remove that Pidgeot, Charizard can be very much of a more of a weaker play. You want to help get the setup before you start attacking. They need to use like their Dusclops, their Dusknoir to get the big 1-hit kill on Gholdengo. Like I mentioned, that 260 HP really comes in handy against Charizard, as you need to have quite a lot of they're already taking quite a few prize cards, or potentially even use a Dusknoir to actually unlock the attack on a Gholdengo. So again, that's something to watch out for. That's obviously one of the things that's scary, and you still need 7 energies to clear this Charizard. I mentioned before, obviously, you play the Energy Search Pro, but you need to really time exactly when you're going to be playing this one. As Charizard obviously is very heavy on the Ionos, normally playing 2 to 3 in that list, they're obviously going to be hand disrupting you nearly every single turn and going for your any of your liabilities or draw factor with the likes of a Dusknoir as well, and potentially unlocking Briar as early as turn 3. So again, something to think about. Know exactly when you should be searching out your energies against these sort of scary decks like Charizard, and actually be prepared for some Duskull and Dusclops play, because it can be very devastating. As Dusclops can KO both your Togepi, and if you're playing 50 HP Gamagle, get rid of that as well. And also, if we look at these Regidrago, again, similar to other sort of ones as well, it can be very, very scary at times. The Iron Bundle can go around, you want to use the Iron Bundle to go around that Cleffer. They're going to promote the Cleffer and go, right, do you have any gusted effect? Now, you know you have a lot of gusted effect with the likes of Iron Bundle, so that's a good way to kind of like get a cheeky 2-price KO. The only Giratina can actually get the big 1-hit KO on them. They might even play Haxorus, but that only does 230 damage. So again, think about it. You want to go 2-2-2, or if you're lucky, 3-3. Togekiss will really help you win the prize trade. It will help these potentially Radiant Charizard become a 2-price Pokemon. Cleffa be a 2-price Pokemon. Or in general, just like keep that Cleffa around and kind of go for their Ogreponds, go for their Regidragos. It can be really devastating. Now, one thing which is quite scary of Regidrago, it still can go out quick and do high damage. It's one of the scariest things about Regidrago, but honestly, I think overall, you can have a really good time with this one. It honestly goes with, if you can get the right sequencing play, if you can constantly keep up the attacks going, you're in a great spot. They're not a deck which is known for a ton of hand disruption. Obviously, they play a couple around here, but I would say they have really good built in draw. You never need to be scared about a like an Ogrepon's of attack. So I would still say your Regidrago is in a good sort of state matchup. Now let's look at the poor matchups. And let's start by looking at Snorlax Stall. This is a pretty poor matchup. And as we have seen in the list, we play no switching out, so just bear that in mind, and that's pretty much how you might lose. Things to do is you want to go wide with a Gholdengo. You want to be having at least 2 of your you have all 4 of your Gholdengos out in play. But then if you think about it, you still have 2 spaces left over. So you need to know exactly what key pieces you want to be playing. You only want to use stuff which can actually get attacks sort of off. You want to keep the rolls going. Togekiss can be really beneficial. You need to have, if they play the Bravery Charm, 4 energies KO to actually KO Snorlax. And if you flip 2 or 3 heads on against Snorlax, well, that can easily swing the price rate into more of your favour. But things to watch out for: Flute, putting all their liabilities on their bench, putting that Iron Bundle and checking that spot, and then you can't use around it. Putting that Manaphy out, it can be really scary to kind of like bring it back out again. But earing away all your key item cards, and obviously you don't play any switch cards. These can be really scary against these decks. Yes, I know you can go like when we think about with Champagne, it will help your consistency. You want to kind of like make sure you have all those liabilities kind of like removed and just only have straight line attacking option, but they play a ton of counter catches. They play a ton of gusting effects. They play a ton of disruption. So like some Misfortune Sisters can be devastated against you. Eerie, Thorosic, Erica's Invitation. All these sort of scary sort of cards here can really slow down Gholdengo to kind of like to a halt. Something that can be said about some Lost Box. Lost Box is very scary. Obviously, Togekiss kind of like transforms the matchup, makes single price Pokemon into 2 prizes, which is really good. You keep your energies in hand as disruption is quite low. That's another good thing. They're only going to play like a Roxanne and maybe even an Iono, so you're always going to keep those energy cards in your hand. But things to watch out for is Pikachu and Iron Hands are huge threats. You cannot one-hit KO a Pikachu. Yes, I know they have 200 HP, but you can't one-shot it because obviously of its amazing ability. You have to gust around it. And if you gust around Pikachu, that pretty much means that they are going to go attack, KO every single turn. Iron Hands and likes of Radiant Greninja are really scary. Ways for them to get these additional prize cards can be devastating. Sableye Trap, like I mentioned before, similar to likes of against Gardevoir, you don't play that many sort of scary Pokemon which can be trapped in there. But the likes of Gholdengo do need 2 energies to retreat. And if you price some metal energies, it can be very difficult, and they can just stay there. And they can do Sableye, spread around this one, and take these big 1-hit KOs, and they take multiple price cards. And obviously, not flipping heads and causing the game to kind of go in their favour. If effectively you kind of like KO 2 Comfies and you are not flipping heads on 2 of those flips from Togekiss, you effectively just lost 2 prizes right there, and really swung the matchup really into your opponent's favour. This is exactly why I think Lost Box can be quite scary right now. I think Pikachu is still the best way to play Lost Box. I think it can be very scary for you going forward, but it isn't as popular as it once was. But again, something to still really consider going forward. Obviously, the brand new threat is the Iron Thorns Dragapult. I played against this one about a month ago and have been seeing quite a lot of fun success, and honestly, it's pretty good. What's scary about this one is things to redo in this matchup is have that single price board state. It's kind of absolutely fine because it's always really good to have this one and kind of like draw your items through Pokestop. You could do this one and not, you obviously have the Cypher as code breaking, so you can actually go through, get all your key pieces under like some of the initialization, which Iron Thorns had. But obviously the things to watch out for is Iron Thorns shuts off your draw factor, which is really scary and can absolutely win them the game. Dragapult needs 7 energies to get these big 1-hit KOs. Again, something quite scary to think about. Dragapult also spreads damage and potentially could take these 2 big full price KOs. It could do 200 damage to a your active Gholdengo and put 6 damage counters on the bench Gimmickle. That's when you evolve into something, they just need to go boss up that Gimmickle or which now potentially an evolved Gholdengo, and they get 4 prizes that way, which will be very scary. And of course, they can block superior energy retrieval with that toe scroll, kind of stopping kind of getting any of your energy recoveries. This is a very, very scary matchup. I remember when Charizard was adding toe scroll in after Paradox Rift against Shenpao, and I was devastated. I was like, I cannot really get any of these key pieces. I can't get stuff from Pokestop. I can't get stuff from superior energy retrieval. I can't now get anything from Night Stretcher. So again, that's something to really think about. This is a very scary matchup. Yes, the damage output is quite low. They aren't getting these big one-hit KO every time, but when you slow down your from getting any of your key pieces, when it slows down getting your item cards or draw factor, it can really swing the matchup into their favor. And the last one I want to talk about is that Klawf Terapagos. Everyone's kind of like their up-and-coming like favorite deck right now. It was kind of like a weird combo, but now I look at it and go, this is kind of like, why did we not see this forward? They are the best partner together. Obviously, you kind of want to overbench during your opening hand. You want to make sure you have all your pieces right there. You want to make sure you have a single prize board state turn 1. Could be very scary. The reason why you want to overbench on your opening hand is you do not know what the opponent might flip over. If they flip over Klawf, they can go right Petra and get a donk, and that could be very, very devastating. You want to have at least a couple of Gimmicks out there so you can actually keep in the game. Streamline your attacks going second. Again, they can get these big one-hit KOs on you, but they still need to have the tool cards, and they need to have the likes of the Brute Bonnet and some ancient cards as well to kind of get a poison effect. So Terapagos get this big one-hit KO. Klawf gets a KO only going back into its turn. So that's again something to really think about going into this one. But we have 2 Pokemon that get these big one-hit KOs and a single prize as well, and they are very lightning quick. They may not be attacking with Terapagos on their first turn, but they can sure attack with Klawf and do over 200 damage, which is really, really devastatingly scary. And of course, they can have the likes of the Petra, which makes sure that it's KO'd in between your turn and doesn't unlock your draw factor with likes of Pheasantipity. So also if we look at the mirror match, we looked at all the other stuff, but what should we be doing in Gholdengo mirror? And it's not as straight, it's very much straightforward as you might think. It's not very complicated. I really see the mirror match is whoever gets the first attack, constantly streamlining the KOs, pretty much wins the game. Some decks aren't even playing Iona or any hand disruption as well, so that's exactly why I can go this one. Togekiss obviously swings the game. If you're both going for that single prize board state, a single Togekiss on a coin flip on a Gimmickle just instantly feel like wins the game. Hand disruption after Energy Search Pro. Well, obviously your opponent's got maybe potential Energy Search Pro. You play one Irida. If you remove that sort of all those sort of energies, can really swing that favor back into your one. Obviously you need to have a full bench after turn 1. You don't want to have any liability. You want to draw through all your consistency cards. Things to watch out for is really keeping the draw on board for too long. If you keep all of their Gholdengos, if you keep all of their Pheasantipities out in play, it can be really, really devastating for this one. They can just constantly draw into all of their key pieces nearly turn after turn after turn. Not having a quick start, not going off to the races, is again really devastating for you. And obviously, know the version you're playing against. Now, every version of Gholdengo is different. We have the Togekiss build, which is my one, which obviously goes through coin flips. You can draw additional prize cards, but they can have the likes of Palkia, which is another Pokemon which can get these big one-hit KOs in one against you. If you don't bench a single Pokemon, you have a bench of 4, they can't one-hit KO Gholdengo, so that's the thing to think about. But you also need to have you need to prioritize Manaphy to make sure that they aren't going to get these big 2 prize KOs on and removing 2 of your Gimmicks. Or if you think about like the Dusknoir, you might go, well, I have a better matchup against Dusknoir because I'm potentially, if I flip a heads on one and they give me a prize of Dusknoir, that swings the price rate in much in my favor. And knowing the correct sequencing, know when to get the cards out. When should we be playing the Energy Search Pro? Should you do that before or after? Do you really expect them to play Hand Disruption? When should you be drawing into your superior energy retrieval? How many do you have access to? How many do you need to actually win the game? All these sort of key pieces, all these key thinkings really help win the matchup. Again, similar like Shenpao, I thought Shenpao matchups are very, very fast. It's kind of like if you don't win by turn 2 by KO and 2 Frigibaxes, and then your opponent can't streamline it, well, you basically won. This one, I feel like if you constantly streamline the attacks and it always go 2-2-2 or potentially 3-3 or 1-2-3, as long as you have a really good prize map against your mirror match and you don't really slow down, you're in a great spot. But as soon as you miss a KO in the mid to late game, you pretty much have lost that matchup. So kind of wrapping up, if we just look at Gholdengo right now, I really am a huge fan of this one. I have not played a deck which I've enjoyed as much since Shenpao. It is fast, it is aggressive, it's so consistent by playing a ton of these sort of recovery cards as well. Now, like I mentioned before, the Scary Loom or Budew is really devastating to Gholdengo. I would say this could either Gholdengo has to adapt to this one, as we talked about a couple of days ago, chucking Budew in this one, or effectively finding ways to kind of like go with, do we need less sort of item cards, can we really prioritize some other sort of recovery cards as well? So again, something to really think about going forward. So definitely looking ahead, the key points I really want to talk about with Gholdengo is draw cards and hit hard. Know exactly when you should be drawing the cards, and obviously you can hit huge, you have unlimited damage output, which is again why it makes Gholdengo such a fun deck. But also you flip some coins and just get additional prize cards with token kits. There is not a time where I've been able to play my favorite card, Tokens, and be in a competitive deck. There's haven't been times that I had like Tokens VMAX where I did pretty well at Liverpool Regionals years and years ago. So again, that's something to really think about. Having tokens is a great card advantage and also have fun. Gholdengo is one of the most fun decks to play right now in this format. There is quite a lot of thinking to go with this one, which I really didn't really understand about it until the end of this sort of understanding and breakdown of this deck. So hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this latest mastering video, comment down below what deck do you want to see me next? Is there any other decks that you want to see me covered, or is there any other archetypes which I think I missed about talking about Gholdengo? I really want to talk about it in the comment section below. So of course, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this helped. If you're going in a competing in a regional soon, good luck. Hope this video helped. Or if you're even going in your locals, again, I really hope this video really helps you understand this deck so much. It's a ton of fun to play, and as long as you know the sequencing, you can constantly win nearly every single game you play. So my name is TCG. Hope this video has helped, and I will see you guys later. Bye for now.